Yes.
Great, great. Okay, great. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sam Kwan with Oregon Department of Education, and this short webinar is for long-term care treatment, juvenile detention education program, and youth corrections education program. And this meeting is just to go over the service plan, and then to go over some of the changes and to answer questions that some of you have regarding the service plan. So I'm just going to go straight into it because I know your time is very valuable. Is everyone able to see my computer screen?
Yeah.
Can anyone hear me? Okay, great. Okay, that means others can see it. Okay, so the first page is self-explanatory. It's basically information about who's submitting it and so forth. Now, if your school district or ESD has multiple programs, such as a long-term care treatment and a JDEP site, then you have to submit 2 service plans. But if your ESD just has 1 contract in 1 program, such as, like, for instance, like LBL has a long-term care treatment site but has multiple institution IDs, you just have to submit 1 service plan. And the reason why we try to make things as streamlined as possible. So if you have JDEP, YCEP, and long-term care treatment, then you have to submit 3 service plans. But if you only have 1 contract with multiple institution numbers, then you only have to submit 1. So that's the first screen. That's the first sheet. And then the second is the organizational structure, like your superintendent, contract administrator, principal, and so forth. And if you have a vice principal, if applicable, because I know some sites do have. Now, the personnel list, we're asking for the name, position, subject area, FTE, TSPCA, and HQ, and so forth. So then, for instance, one of the reasons why we're asking for number 2, if you're for long-term care treatment, if you said you needed if you had 8 classrooms, we're expected to see 8 teachers listed down. And if you have, and perhaps 16 EAs, but if you're selling some of your EAs for speech path or school sites and so forth, so that's one way for us to double check to ensure that every single classroom has at least 1 full-time teacher, because that's the main intention of the minimum staffing level for long-term care treatment. And for JDEP and YCEP, we're hoping that every single JDEP site has at least 1 full-time, 1 teacher assigned to it. Are there any questions about number 2, personnel list? No? Okay, great. So number 3, list who's your main person for IDA or special ed services, and who's going to be your main contact, because sometimes the ESCs and school districts don't update the contact information within SPRNI. Next, master schedule course and the courses that your site is offering. CTE, if your site participates in these programs. Some long-term care treatment sites probably don't, and JDEP does not, but YCEP does. Number 6, if your JDEP, long-term care treatment, or YCEP site offer GED and so forth. So, and then we're asking for that information. And number 7, this is a requirement for Title 1D. Although JDEP do not receive Title 1D Part D, Subpart 1 from us, many of the JDEP sites do receive Title 1 Part D, Subpart 2, and they have the same requirements where 15 to 30% of the Title 1D funds have to be spent on transition services. So, and then we're wanting to know what are those transition services, and each site should have a transitional person assigned, and that's one of the things the feds asked for us, and so forth. So that's number 7. Number 8, oh darn, sorry. Number 8, list and describe any special or innovative program or initiative that you want to be highlighted or advertised. And the reason why we put this in is every so often the media contact us, or the governor's office, or the legislature, when we prepare our presentations for the Ways and Means. We want to highlight 1 or 2 sites that are doing really well, or they have innovative programs. And last year, one site that we highlighted was at Monroe School, which is an Eastern Oregon Youth Correctional Facility in Burns, because what they had was they were the first to have driving simulators within their facility and to teach kids on how to drive stick and so forth. So they had 3 television screens and a steering wheel and so forth to get them to hopefully get a CDL license once they leave the facility. So that's number 8. And if there's any other information that you want to share with us. Are there any questions on anything we covered so far? Okay. Shoot, I'm going over the chat to see if there's any questions. Yes, speech path 2. So for the personnel listed, list all the personnel that are paid for by JDEP, long-term care treatment, and YCEP, out of the contract fund. Another question. Okay, who would be considered a transition person? A transition person could be the person. It doesn't have to be a certified person. It could be a classified person that assists with transition services. And we're not talking transition. Well, part of it is transition services in relation to SPED, but also transition back to the schools and transitioning into your facility. It could be someone that gets records, transcripts, tune files, and so forth, and somebody also that will help a student reconnect with a job or reconnect with a neighborhood K-12 school once they leave your program. So that would be a transition person, or also someone that might connect them with post-secondary ed. So it doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be a clerk that works with the students and so forth. Like if you know where your students are going to go next, they'll work with your student and your teachers to facilitate the process. No, and then it's not the same. We're not talking about the transition person in IEP. I know we're talking about transition for Title 1D, which is, in this sense, it's the movement or the facilitation of the student reacclimating or re-entering the community and smoothing out the process. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. Next, inventory. This is standard federal reporting guidelines. This is only if you have something you use with our contracts that are that is valued at $5,000 or more in aggregate. So, like for instance, it wouldn't be like a whole set of computers unless it's in aggregate and so forth. So, if you have items such as like, I would say both tech equipment, like one site purchased a organic saw, and that would be it. But most long-term care treatment sites and JDEP sites won't list anything because you don't have anything that is valued $5,000 or more. So, but if you have in aggregate, like total 5,000, then you would list those things. And location, like where they are. Like if, for instance, if you have a purchase order of $10,000 worth of computers, you'll see like if you bought 8 computers and so forth, location and funds used. So that's the program inventory. Next, and this section D is only for long-term care treatment. And these are questions that you would, so JDEP and YCEP do not have to complete section D. And then you would list those things. Are you a day residential? Or identify your mental health provider, and so forth. And if then describe the services subcontracted in detail, like for instance, letter G. For instance, if you're only subcontracting for the EA, you can talk about the EA and so forth. Next, letter E is for juvenile detention education programs only, because it's required that all JDEP sites have an interagency agreement with their county detention facility and how they operate and so forth. And letter F, it's required for all YCEP sites, and there are some long-term care and treatment sites that are accredited. I know Northwest Regional ESD, MESD, LBO ESD, Portland Public Schools, their high school program, their long-term care and treatment high school programs are accredited. So you would write down, and mostly from advanced ed, and last accreditation date and documentation at the fire or at the district office. So you don't have to make a photocopy of your accreditation certificate, but if you want, oh yeah, I'm sorry, yes, we want a copy of your accreditation certificate. So that is letter F. Okay, and I'm going to go to the chat to see if there's any questions. Are there any questions on anything that I covered so far regarding the service plan? We tried to streamline it to make it as easy and straightforward as possible, and it is only for the biennium. So you don't have, before, service plans had to be submitted every year, but no, you only have to do it. You only have to submit it once a biennium. Okay. Are there any other questions? There's a question about accreditation, and what I can do is once the service plan section is completed, I could launch my web browser, and I could show whoever wants to continue on how to access accreditation and where to find out and how to be accredited. Okay. So any other questions besides how can we find out more about accreditation? No? Okay, great. Okay, thank you for all of you that participated today for the long-term care treatment, JDEP, and YCEP service plans. If you have any other questions that I didn't cover, or if there's still some ambiguity, let me know and give me a call or send me an email. Email is the best because I'm not in the office this week. I'll be returning to the office on Monday. So I'm going to stop the recording now. And for those that want to continue, I'll show you the Advanced Ed website on how to become accredited. Okay? Thank you. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.